My name is Afrodet Zuri, and I'm independent curator and art advisor in traditional space for 14 years, and now the digital space for about 4 years. And I'm super excited to moderate this panel today. I'm going to let everyone introduce themselves.
Hey everyone, my name is David. I am the co-founder and CTO at Kid Labs. At Kid Labs, we are the first Web3 ticketing platform. We are a live event ticketing platform. But we're the first ever to secure a live event music venue in the States. So if you're ever in New York and go to a venue called La Poussin Rouge, hit us up for tickets. We'll get you hooked up.
Hi everybody, happy to be here. My name is Alejandro. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Nameless. Based out of New York City, we're the team behind some of the biggest activations and events with some of the world's biggest brands and artists. We're building the Nameless platform to add a layer of gamification, collectability, and data capture to all the events that we're a part of.
Hey guys, Jaeho, based out of Korea, building a platform called Mereo. It's a social fan engagement platform. We're working with a bunch of K-pop artists, Western artists, trying to go big to global in the next couple of months.
Hey everybody, my name is Teron. I'm the co-founder and CMO of Overlai. So what we do is we have a suite of creator tools to protect your content post-distribution to determine whether or not it can or cannot be scraped by AI. And then the back half DeFi payments for creators and preserving original content created by humans.
I want to start the conversation with discussing the creator economy and engagement. And I know everyone here has very strong thoughts about it, so please.
Yeah, we see really the base unit of loyalty, the base unit of who a fan is, just one of the base units, by the way, is the ticket. You know, we all buy tickets to go to shows. We all do things in the venue to prove our loyalty. And so that ticket component is always a piece that's always been siloed into all these different databases. And so by building, digitizing tickets and tokenizing tickets, we can actually start to build these really cool applications on top of tickets that were never possible before.
Thanks, David. I'll add on to that. I think some of the world's biggest brands are doubling and tripling down on creating memorable experiences. If you look around, this is kind of case in point. And additionally, there's a lot of events within events, and so we think if we can capture not just attendee data of someone who came into an event, but more granular data within an event and doing something meaningful with that data, that's where we can unlock a lot of value.
I might be the least Web3 person in this room. I come from a very traditional background, working in the music entertainment industry, worked for Spotify for the longest time, and I have seen the paradigm shift on how creators make money. Obviously, Spotify being the greatest platform that's out there and the latest innovation that actually happened in the music industry, where the artists and the creators are able to reach millions and millions of people in exchange of fair compensation. They're making the least amount of money now because of streaming platforms. So what we're trying to do is trying to monetize different aspects for the creators. Tickets, merchandise, fan engagement, and data is what we're trying to build here.
And in regards to the creator economy, what we're trying to preserve is authenticity and storytelling. So determining what is real, what is fake, and for that everyday fan or everyday viewer to really have the knowledge and understanding in a moment's notice to understand what is synthetic and what is real. We're placing huge emphasis and doubling down on the value that the creators are generating from lifelong skill and development and creating new content that's original, and ensuring that, like these guys have mentioned, that money flows towards the creators in a fair and equitable way, and doing that with automation.
Jaeho, could you speak more directly to the regional differences between Western audiences and K-pop audiences?
Yeah, so I worked in Asia for the longest time, also lived in the US, in LA, working in entertainment. Obviously, there's a huge difference between fan behavior. And what I mean by fan behavior also means the spending behavior of the fans. If you look at K-pop, the K-pop fans genuinely spend more than anyone that's out there, and that's just because K-pop actually has a different formula of making money. It's not only about album sales or streaming platform sales, but it's about physical albums coming back. They're releasing vinyls, they're releasing merchandises, they're doing subscription models, where in the West, a lot of the artists really focus on the music itself to make money. Therefore, the fan behavior, meaning the fan spending behavior, is quite different, meaning where we're trying to capture all this data of the fan engagements in different part of the world to actually be able to give it to the creators for them to be able to monetize their fans better.
Thank you, Jaeho. So we are always talking about blockchain's role in empowering the creator economy. And I think it's something really interesting, and it's something that obviously David touched on earlier about ticketing. But I want to go further and discuss exactly how blockchain can empower creator economy, because I think that's why many of us joined this utopia blockchain. We thought like, wow, we're going to wake up one day and we're all going to be equal. Women, POC, right? And any creator can come on the blockchain and drop something, mint something, create something for us. And instead, we're a little bit different in how we're doing things. And so let's speak to that.
Yeah, one of the ways that we can actually empower other people to be successful using blockchain technology in the ticketing space particularly is, you can imagine in a venue, in a music venue, there's a lot of vendors involved in making that event a success. You have the artist, you have the backup acts for the artist, you have the ticketing platform, you have the venue, you have catering, bar staff. There's a lot going on, and a lot of people need to get paid. But the problem is, a lot of the value creation is flowing straight to the ticketing platforms right now, and not to those other auxiliary vendors that are making that event successful. And so with blockchain, we can actually encode rules in the tickets and give everyone their fair share of what's happening inside a venue and what makes experiences truly great for everyone.
Yeah, I think the art of extracting value out of innovation, it has to come down to making it a no-brainer. I think messaging and framing is really important to do that. So if we have a brand or a client that says, we want to increase and maximize the value of our IP, what we can tell them is, we can find a way to create a more direct relationship with your fans, not just for yourself, but also for your brand sponsors. And I think it's that framing and that messaging, taking away and abstracting anything about Web3 or the blockchain, that's going to make this actually make sense. It's going to onboard the next million users.
Raise your hand if you have overpaid for anything in entertainment, starting from concert tickets, right? The reseller market is a huge problem nowadays, especially here in Korea. A lot of people are paying 5 to 10x of the ticket price that's on retail. And real fans want two things. They want recognition and they want access. When I mean by recognition, recognition means recognized by the like-minded fans, and they want to be recognized by the artist itself that they're actually a super fan. When I talk about access, they want access to different stuff, starting from tickets, merchandise. Where blockchain comes in is we recognize all these actions and we can capture it, and we can actually give recognition and access to real fans that are really, really wanting to get access and recognized for every engagement and effort they put it into to support the creator.
Specifically, what we're focused on is just determining what is your data versus the intermediary's data, because that's where all the money is in the creator economy. Specifically when it comes to AI, it's just a data gold rush happening right now, and the money's all flowing to these organizations that are relying on the theft of the data in order to generate these outputs. So these organizations are worth billions of dollars, whereas the creator who's uploading their content, who's spent tens of thousands of dollars to generate that content or a lifetime building that skill, are getting no attribution. So for us, blockchain is about creating an immutable record of content ownership and intellectual property rights management, and then also making sure that that is timestamped so that everybody who reshares and reposts has the ability to find that original piece of content and all the derivatives from that content, so that the original content creator can be rewarded both through micropayments and through fan-based engagement. So for us, the decentralization of it is so important for that data. If I'm opting out on Meta or Instagram from AI scraping my content, who am I trusting? I'm trusting the organization that stole that content to begin with. So for us, decentralization, no one owning that data and it being on the public ledger is really, really important and why we're building on chain.
Thank you, Chase. Alejandro, could you speak more to crypto rewards?
Sorry?
Could you speak more to crypto rewards? It's something that we touched upon in prep.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think crypto rewards is just another way to identify an audience. I think loyalty is built on first identifying fans, then you can start to measure fans, and then you can start to compound fandom. And so a lot of people in entertainment and sports, they don't know their fans. I'll take an example from sports, for example. How do you differentiate between someone that just follows their favorite team on a social media account compared to a young boy in Michigan that's waking up at 5 a.m. every morning to watch their favorite Premier League team play? Sports and big teams don't know their audiences. So how can we segment these users and reward them in meaningful ways? And I think a reward is just another way to identify a fan and build that, have that be a building block for further loyalty.
Thank you, Alejandro. So we're constantly facing challenges for this Web3 creator economy, and I think one of the biggest challenges is, what is Web3? I think someone the other day told me they're in Web5. They just skipped right ahead, and I thought that was fantastic because no one will question her or ask what is Web5 because they're not sure what Web3 is. And I think one of my favorite things to share with people is, I think it's fascinating that we go to NFT art fairs, but we don't go to MP3 festivals. Could we touch and discuss some of the challenges of embodying a true Web3 creator economy?
Yeah, we don't go to empathy festivals. That's a great analogy to what NFTs are today for everyone. At Kid Labs, we have not ever sold a single customer on the benefits of blockchain, right? The benefits of using NFTs. We never said, you should use us because we tokenize your tickets into NFTs. That's not a value prop. So what we try to focus on is selling value to the customers. And our customers are venues. And so what that might look like for us is, okay, now we can eliminate processing fees or significantly lower processing fees. And believe it or not, that increases venues' margins up to 50% by just knocking out processing fees. Another one that's been mentioned by everyone on stage so far is the attribution problem. Believe it or not, venues don't actually know who's coming to the shows. Artists don't know who's coming, venues don't know who's coming, and ticketing platforms don't know who's coming. And the reason for that is the whole secondary market that was mentioned before. You know, all these secondary markets are all isolated databases. And so if we can preach the value of, okay, this is one shared data layer that we can all access and build on top of, that's a true value creation, and 1 + 1 = 10 at that point.
Regarding the creator economy, Web3, I think it's just a new medium. But we have to start off with what's the value proposition of that medium. For us, it just happens to be digital memorabilia, digital collectibles, you can call them. But I think starting with the value proposition and not leading with Web3, blockchain, and the technology, that's where we're going to really take the next steps.
For us, it's really about education. You got to start from somewhere and start educating the traditional entertainment people to let them know what Web3 can bring to the table. There's a lot of negative sentiment about Web3, especially in the K-pop industry. No one wants to get into NFT, they don't want to do fan tokens, they don't want to do this and that. But it's really about educating the market as a community to really build something that's bigger and that can really solve the real issue that entertainment industry is facing, so for us to have a better creators that are out there and to have better fan engagement. At least that's coming from our side.
Yeah, to build on what these guys have said, essentially for us, we've been working within the C2PA, which is the Coalition for Content Authenticity and Provenance, with Meta, Adobe, Google, and all these big organizations. And for us, we weren't even allowed to use the word blockchain. They were so adverse to blockchain simply because of the NFT market and all the speculation and the tokens. It really, you know, we dug ourselves a big hole. And so for us, focusing on the utility, the value, the problems that we're solving, and listing those out. And then it just so happens that blockchain solves all those problems. And why they're not moving so fast is because they had such a hindrance towards blockchain, or as they call it, DLT. So we have to reference it as DLT whenever we're working with the big organizations. And for us, because we're going direct to consumer with our first initial products, it's a lot easier for us to communicate the problem and the solution without even mentioning that it's Web3. It just works behind the scenes in a keyless form.
I think it's important to note that so many different public relations companies, particularly for luxury and fashion platforms, have basically outlawed using Web3, NFT, and blockchain. And there's so much more interesting terminology around it, because if we're going to onboard the next 1 billion users, we have to come and speak their language. I want to talk about Aptos, actually, and how you're building and what you're building on it, so that people can understand how incredible Aptos is.
All right, so I'll give a little background. So with Overlai, we just launched our first product on the iOS Apple Store. Essentially, it's an ability to have a universal opt-out and protection, basically determining what the creator wants to do with that content, pre-uploading it online. So it works, it's interoperable, so across all platforms, to say, I do not want my media to be trained. From there, we're building out the opt-in side of AI. So basically, we're turning off the data tap, saying you cannot train on my data, turning that tap off, and there's a data frontier happening right now. With high quality data, you can't train AI on synthetic data. It just turns out terribly. So for us, we're trying to regain control as creators, turn that tap off, and then we have the opt-in side and building smaller models that are based off of micropayments on the blockchain to the creator. And so it's, we also have the first authentic mobile and secure camera coming to the iOS Apple Store to determine what was the image origination, what was the provenance of that image, what are all the derivatives and edits that have happened, any synthetic or generative AI fill, and then for that viewer to find out what has been done to that photo. So for us, it's just really about managing that authenticity of every single piece of content you see online. 54% of all the content you're viewing is synthetic. It's generative AI. So therefore, you can't have meaningful stories, you can't have the human connection, and that's something that we're trying to combat.
Man, you got so technical there. I don't have such a technical answer. But for me, when we first started to engage with Aptos, it wasn't really move. It was really mo, right? When we started to speak to Christy initially back about a year ago, she sold us the dream of what they're trying to build, and we really saw the culture difference on what Aptos had. When we first met Mo, he's like, which artist do you like? I asked him, and he's like, I'm from New York. I like Kendrick. I'm like, you're from New York, but you like Kendrick Lamar. It doesn't really correlate, but he came out to be the coolest person that really supports culture. And that movement is really needed in this industry where Web3 talks about a lot of technology, a lot of technical stuff, but I think why we chose to build on Aptos was everybody in this room from Aptos has been so supportive. They tend to keep all their promises pretty well in a very mannerly time. So I mean, yes, I'm not so technical like the rest of the guys, but it is the best home for us to build, just one, because of their vision, the team, and the future.
Yeah, I would say I have a similar answer, not so technical. We have a blossoming, call it love story with Aptos. My co-founder was trying to book Tyla, Grammy-winning South African artist, for a Halloween party we were throwing. We, through that conversation, got in touch with David's co-founder, Ahmed, kind of introduced us to the whole Aptos ecosystem. For us, it's always been about the people. I hear the term 1 second finality and all the really impressive things that Aptos does on the technical front. For us, it's been the people. Neil, Alix, and the New York office have been amazing. And so really excited to continue to cultivate those relationships and also meet a lot of people here in the crowd, because I think the community here at Aptos is what it's all about.
I don't know how many engineers we have in the room, but I will get this a little technical perspective here. Almost every chain nowadays that has any sort of users on it can claim that they're fast and cheap, right? It's just a common preaching from any chain. But what we found at Aptos is that that's not good enough. you also need to be reliable, and you need to be treated, the chain needs to be treated like an API, right? I need to be able to hit an endpoint, whether that's a node or an indexer. I need to be able to hit an endpoint, and then when I get that success response back, I need to know that it's done. So I go create a ticket on chain. Once I get a success back, it's done. And that's actually not how almost any other chain operates today. Almost every other chain, you have to go reach finalization levels, like 3 confirmations, 7 confirmations, 12 confirmations. And that could take 400 milliseconds. It could take 400 seconds to figure out if your transaction actually finalized. And so that's one of the great things that brought us over to Aptos is I can use Aptos like I use AWS. I can submit transactions, and if I get a success back, I know it worked. I know it's not going to be reverted. I know all of my data is safe that I wrote, and it's there forever. So that's a little technical deep dive on why we chose Aptos.
Thank you, David. I'm going to share my hopes and dreams for the future of blockchain, and I'm going to ask our panelists to as well. Mine is don't forget about culture. And what does that mean? That means go look at art. This is also Freeze Week. There are multiple art fairs, museums, gallery exhibitions, and also empower more women, empower more people of color. All of you men have so many events this week. How many women have you invited to your events? Not that many from the events that I've been to. Invite women to your events. It's not too late this week. And we'll start with Dennis. Thank you.
So the vision for KID and blockchain in general is to be the ticketing standard for the world. And if we are successful in that vision, then we can bring true equity to this space. We see a world where service fees don't exist. We've all been robbed by Ticketmaster. We've all been robbed by the Ticketmaster equivalent in all of our different countries. And it's because of service fees and the predatory environment that exists right now in ticketing. And so we could really just bring a level playing field for everyone, eliminate unnecessary service fees, and then bring the true creators of this value, the artists, the venues, the true creators of these spaces, give them what they're earned, because it's just not possible today. And that's what we hope to achieve over the next 10 years with blockchain tech.
Yeah, so I think for Nameless, we really have a big bet on ourselves that we're able to onboard the right people to blockchain. These are people that move culture forward. These are people that own their own communities, who are creatives. And just abstracting blockchain away as much as possible. And if we can get the hands of this amazing technology in the hands of the right people in the right places, then I think that's where we're excited to build.
For us, everybody talks about driving the next billion Web 2 users into Web 3, and everybody says that, and everybody's been saying that for the past 3 to 4 years. I think the main driver for that movement has always been gaming and DeFi so far. And I respect and love DeFi and gaming, but I believe we as an entertainment culture projects will be really driving the next billion users to Web 3, just because you guys listen to music, you guys love to experience concerts, everybody buys tickets here and there. So that's where we're coming from. We really want to drive that movement through entertainment, music, movie, fashion, sports, anything that's related to culture.
Amazing. I want to go back just quickly to the why Aptos, because I kind of skirted around that. Avery and Mo have come directly to us to help support us and get us on there. And the entire Aptos community, I don't know how many Telegram groups we're a part of, but they are just willing to help us at any given moment. And Avery attends some of our C2PA meetings on our behalf and on Aptos' behalf. So I just think they go above and beyond, and that's that connection with the human experience that I just want to say thank you to Aptos for. It's just, it brings, it is worth a round of applause. I'm not a tech guy either, I'm a marketing guy, but the human experience is really what I want to preserve and what I see in the future. I'm an artist, I'm a photographer by trade. I've been shooting for Natural History, National Geographic, and different organizations. And the process of creation is so important. And I want to preserve that because fans of art, fans of music, they don't necessarily get to see all the work that goes into creating the output. And so for us at Overlai, we just really want to emphasize and get around the algorithms and not be at the mercy of the algorithms for social media. I want to see interoperability between social media sites where the creators have control of their own audience that they've worked so hard to build. Whereas now, if you have hundreds of thousands, if not millions of followers, you only get a tiny fraction of a percent that actually gets to see your work, and they don't necessarily get to understand your story and the value that you bring to the art world. So for us, it's about creating the human movement, making the technology work for the art instead of the art work for the technology.
I love that. Thank you so much. I want to say thank you to everyone for being here, especially those who are quiet in their seats listening. I strongly encourage you to walk up to my panelists, meet them. I've had the pleasure of meeting them on video before today, so I was already excited. Talk to me if you want me to yell at you or talk to you about art. Thank you again, everyone, for being here, and let's give a big round of applause to my panelists.